Today I'm going to tell you how to cleanse your liver within 3 days. I've done every single cleanse that has ever been invented, and I want to tell you that with many of them, I've gotten sick. I start the cleanse and then I'm in bed for 2 weeks. This particular liver cleanse is very different from the usual cleanses I talk about in other videos, where I discuss drinking apple cider vinegar, lemon drinks, and ginger. Those aren't going to produce anywhere close to the results I'm going to show you today. The question is, how does your liver actually clean the body? And what are the most powerful things we can do to speed this process up? First, you have the detoxification of poisons and chemicals, whether it's medication, chemicals in your food, alcohol, and so on. Then you also have the cleaning of all the dead cells, the waste, and the pathogens that are in your body. If you've ever taken biology, you know that inside every cell there are different components, and one of them is essentially the garbage disposal of the cell. That's called a lysosome. The lysosome is like a little incinerator that burns up waste, cleans up dead cells, and actually helps recycle dead cells and pathogens like microbes, viruses, bacteria, and fungus, turning all of that into new cells. That whole process is called autophagy, where the body eats some of its own tissue and recycles waste into new cells. Let me walk you through the 7 things that trigger autophagy, starting from the weakest trigger and working up to the most powerful. Certain phytonutrients come in at the bottom of the list. They have a mild effect on triggering this recycling process. Next up is the ketogenic diet, where you cut down your carbohydrates. After that comes exercise, which will trigger autophagy as well. Then we have sleep, because when you sleep, your body naturally goes through this process. Calorie restriction also helps. When you cut down your calories, that supports autophagy too. Moving up the list, we have water fasting, where you're not eating anything, but you are drinking water. But there is one additional thing that is 3 times more powerful than water fasting, and that is dry fasting. No food and no water. Dry fasting is hands down one of the most powerful things you can do to stimulate autophagy and truly cleanse the cells at a deep level. And I'm not talking about doing dry fasting for 12 days. That's a topic for a different video. I'm talking about doing it for only 1 day, meaning you start at sunrise and stop at sunset. At first, I didn't think there was much to this, but the more I got into it, I was amazed, because 1 day of dry fasting is equivalent to 3 days of water fasting. You've probably been told that you can only survive 3 days without water. I'm not going to get deeply into that here, but that is a complete myth. It's simply not true. When you stop drinking water, your fat cells, as they're burned for energy, actually start releasing a significant amount of water on their own. And my whole point here is that we're only talking about 12 hours of not drinking water, so you're going to be absolutely fine. During this process, you're going to greatly enhance your immune system. Another benefit is that your kidneys and your liver finally get a chance to rest. We often have this idea that we need to drink enormous amounts of water to flush out toxins. But think about what you're actually doing all day when you drink a lot of water. You're urinating constantly, which means your kidneys are working very hard just to process and eliminate all that extra fluid. When you give them a break, they can focus on deeper repair. Another great benefit is mental clarity. You're actually going to grow new brain cells when you do this. And on top of that, your inflammation is going to come down. What's also helpful is that you'll be going to sleep during part of this window, which naturally extends your dry fasting hours while you rest. The second part of this program involves getting rid of toxins, poisons, and chemicals, and this happens primarily in the liver, the kidneys, and different parts of the body. You have enzymes that go through a series of steps, taking poisons and breaking them down to the point where they become harmless. This program is structured similarly to what's called OMAD, or 1 meal a day. So the question becomes, what are you going to eat during that 1 meal? You'll eat it when the sun sets, and it's going to consist of just 2 things: some type of cruciferous vegetable and meat. What counts as a cruciferous vegetable? Think broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, arugula, kale, cabbage, and bok choy. If you want to take it even further, broccoli sprouts are 20 to 50 times more potent than adult broccoli, and you can have those in a salad for an incredibly powerful effect. You can blend kale and drink it as a shake. Sauerkraut, which is fermented cabbage, is also an excellent option because the fermentation process adds additional benefits on top of the cruciferous properties. Now for the meat portion. Meat is loaded with certain amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein, and some of these amino acids work in very specific ways. For example, glutamine helps build up your glutathione, which is the most powerful antioxidant inside your cells, and helps you get rid of free radicals and the kind of oxidative damage that creates what I think of as rusting in the body. Meat also contains iron and B vitamins, both of which support the detoxification process. When you add the dry fasting on top of this eating approach, you have a genuinely powerful combination for cleaning out not just your liver and kidneys, but your entire body. You're going to follow this protocol for 3 days a month. One last important point. How do we prevent the detox reaction that a lot of people experience when they cleanse? With this particular cleanse, we're not using herbal remedies to push toxins out of the cells, but anytime you do any type of cleansing, the key is making sure you don't have any bile sludge or blockage within the small bile ducts. Those are the little tubes that connect your liver and your gallbladder. Some people may have gallstones, but many more have what's called gallbladder sludge. What happens is that when you start a cleanse, it can back up into the liver and make you feel really sick. So before you begin, it wouldn't hurt to take some bile salts in supplement form. You can also use a type of bile salt called TUDCA, which I've recommended in other videos and will link below. On the food side, beets are one of the best things you can eat to help thin the bile. Apple cider vinegar diluted in water is another helpful option. I've known people who started a cleanse and ended up with something almost rock-like stuck in their digestive system, becoming severely constipated shortly after beginning. The quick remedy I always give them is bile salts on an empty stomach, and that starts breaking up the sludge, and they typically feel relief within hours. So don't overlook that step. It can make the difference between a smooth cleanse and a very uncomfortable one. Now, since we're talking about the liver and phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification, there's a bit more important information about the liver that you really need to know. And for that, I'd encourage you to watch the next video.